This is Charlie Rose.
Joining me now, Kate Winslet and Leonardo DiCaprio. 11 years ago, they started together in James Cameron's blockbuster Titanic. That film grossed more than $1.8 billion. Since then, they have earned a combined 8 Oscar nominations. Now these two friends reunite in Revolutionary Road. It is directed by Sam Mendes, Kate's husband. I am pleased to have Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet back at this table. Welcome.
Thank you, sir, for having us.
Nice to see you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Why did it take 11 years for you two to get back together?
Well, it was one of the first things about the screenplay, which I immediately said, well, I really cannot wait to do those sequences with Kate, because when you develop a sort of, a friendship with somebody over the years, there's just a trust factor there. We both know that we have the best intentions for each other, but we also know that we can sort of push each other's limits. And there's probably no other actress out there that I would feel as comfortable sort of attacking. And I know she could give every bit of it right back to me. So I kept saying during the production of the film, I can't wait for these sequences. And so much of the movie was about what was left unsaid between two people. And Sam really set this movie up like a stage play, almost like, we were kind of living these people's lives out. I don't know, it was a great release, so to speak.
And for me, just to continue with that thought, for me as an actress, working alongside my wonderful friend over there.
Who wants to test your limits.
But it was some of the most exciting acting I've ever seen in my life. It really, really was. And being there for Leo in the off-camera during some of those very difficult, heightened emotional scenes between the two of us, it was very hard for me not to cry, just because it was really upsetting for me to see him go to that place and to be so moved by what he was doing, and also to see him literally do things with his face and as an actor that I have never seen him do before in any of his performances or as a human being. And I remember saying to him, wow. I seriously, you just did things with your face that you've honestly never done before, and I'm very freaked out right now and have to go and sit down. But it was exciting for us to, just to explore the endless possibilities, and, I think that's why, it's easy for us to talk about.
Does what she's saying resonate with you?
I have to be honest and say I never know. I think we both share the same sort of need to do a good job. We want to give the best possible performances that we can. We work very hard at what we do, but whatever suspends that disbelief for an audience, whatever makes an audience member feel like, oh, I believe that, and all those factors that are involved, I'm still yet to figure out, because that formula is something that is intangible. You never quite know what will be off-putting towards people, and I've never really discovered that. You just look for the best possible.
But is part of the goal you're reaching for is to make the character believable?
Absolutely,
so that they see nothing but the character.
Well, all you essentially do, all the research that you do beforehand, all the conversations that you have, all the rehearsal, all the thinking about the lines, the changing of the lines, all this stuff is, a desire to find some sort of emotional truth within that character, and that's all you consistently do 24 hours a day when you're working. That's it. And it's a sort of, like I said, it's a formula that I don't think anyone truly understands, because when I see a movie, there could be one of 2,000 factors that make me say, oh, I'm watching a movie. I don't have that suspension of disbelief. I can't sit there for 2 hours and say, I can't forget that element of that film. And it could be a piece of set decoration. It could be, a piece of terrible acting, terrible directing. It could be a combination of anything, or the storyline as a whole, or what one character does. So who knows? And that's what we're constantly attempting to do as actors or people in this industry, is that try to find that one little gem where that chemistry is right.
You know that you can push her to her limits. What does that mean?
Again, I have no idea. No, you know what it is?
You just know you enjoy it.
People use that.
It makes you better.
People use that term shorthand. Is there a shorthand between you two people, or do you guys?
Yeah.
What it is the ability to know that I'm not going to insult this person if I tell them the truth. If we talk about the material and I say this scene sucks, I'm I'm not going to insult her, or you weren't that great in conveying what I think you were trying to convey, or you were.
You are,
know?
or you're not going to say that?
Well, you know what I'm saying? We were able to do that, and we took advantage of that friendship. We really took advantage of the fact that we know each other on such a, for such a long period of time. We know we have the best intentions for each other. We took advantage of that for this movie.
Here's a sense I have. You don't do this often. We ask frequently. I assume and that you choose to do it when there is material that you feel special about and that you like a lot and you want more people to know about.
That could be the case. That could be the case, yes. But my attitude towards publicity in general has always been very bizarre. I've never quite... To me, I have heroes. I have great heroes from the past that I felt always retained a level of mystery about their life. And that, for me, was all thrown out the window when I did the film Titanic. So when I did that movie, I realized it would never quite be the same. So, and I think that is fundamentally truly important for an actor to be able to, like I was talking earlier, to suspend that disbelief. If you know way too many things intimately about a specific human being, they're not able to convey those characters realistically to an audience. You feel like, oh, that's not him, he's just acting, or that they're nothing like that. And so, yes, I feel like when there is specific material that I feel deserves this type of forum, I do seize those moments, so you're right.
What is it you most want us to know about Frank? To see the character and not you.
Well, I can tell you what I love about him. And what I love about Frank is so often in this industry, like I was saying earlier, you're given characters that have some heroic element to them, something that defies the odds. And this is somebody that is, like I said, a product of their environment and just is a simple man. You know what I mean? He's a simple man who wants a simple life at the end of the day and wants to be told that he's a good husband. And I found it immediately. I related to him immediately. I really did. I related to his angst immediately. I mean, it's hard for me to identify more with the characters that do defy the odds, the heroic people that risk their life time and time again with some, in some vigilant pursuit of justice. This is a man that is just trying to make things work. And
why is it harder and harder to identify with the heroics? Because you what? Because
I lead a life nowhere near that, my friend. I mean, I go to these sets and I get jobs and I research characters and I get paid money to be an actor. So it's there's obviously sometimes where you just do have an emotional connection to somebody, even if your life is nothing like them. And I remember sitting here talking with you about The Aviator and Howard Hughes, and I
larger than life.
That was one of those characters in my life where I felt like I felt a connection with the man. I felt that I needed to put this guy's life up on screen, and it was something that took eight years to sort of hone and get right. And but those things come few and far between, and they're less and less. Those possibilities are less and less, I think, in today's age of cinema. I really, it's hard to make movies like that. It really is.
Well, then that sort of relates to my question about how often you see material like this.
Not often.
Not often.
Not often at all. And I think there's going to be a wider gap between the sort of independent genre of filmmaking and the big budget sort of spectacle movies, and the movies that are a hybrid of those two things that have, real powerful emotional or deep content in them that are also have some scope are going to kind of dissolve away. I see that happening more and more in the industry. It's either like this is a regurgitation of films you've seen 1,000 times that work and are, sound for the studios, and this is what we're making. Or you could take a chance and do a really low-budget, small movie and see how it turns out. I feel like...
So that's the gap between either take a small-budget film and see how it turns out, or
less
some
and
spectacular,
less
but nowhere in between in which you are enhancing
those types of movies
capacity to tell a story that's worth telling.
Those types of movies are becoming few and far between, yes.
Is it possible that you could take more risk in whatever way, back to even Frank's character, to see that you, because of whatever leverage and resource you have, to make those kind of movies?
That's what I'm trying to do.
You are?
I'm trying my best.
And how do you try to do it?
How do I try to do it? I mean
looking for property, looking for...
Everything at the end of the day, when you're making a movie, starts with the material and how well written the script is. I've never seen a silk purse made from a sow's ear. I've never seen it happen wherein a crap script with crap characters, a director somehow found a way to make a masterpiece out of it. And that's the constant struggle that we all sort of have as actors, is finding those gems. And that's why people grab onto them like vultures. When you find a great piece of material or a great script, it's like, you should see what happens. It's like a piranha feeding fest. Everyone wants it. Everyone wants it.
Well, why then did it take 11 years to make this movie?
You know, it wasn't a huge, I mean, although this was a cult novel and way ahead of its time, it wasn't one of those bestsellers. It was kind of those things, and a small group of people knew how special this novel was. And you know, thank God the people that were involved in owning material waited.
Okay, but just help me understand how many of those in which, if the world or if smart people like you knew about, would be like piranhas trying to get to it. I mean, are there 4 or 5 pieces out there like that? I mean, do you have them?
I'm looking for one right now, my friend.
Looking for one?
Actively looking for a good piece of material.
Interesting.
Yeah.
With all that you have, you know, in a sense of clout, you're looking for an interesting piece of material.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And
So
I think a lot of people will tell you the same thing.
I'm sure they would. They do.
It's very difficult. I mean, I could go on and on about it, but it's just the simple truth. I mean, look at how many films have been done. Look at how many subjects have been taken on. You know, hopefully, as we progress into the future, we'll see cinema sort of take different turns, and I'm curious to see where it goes. But, you know, it's up to these sort of revolutionary new filmmakers and people coming up with new concepts and ideas, and that's what we're constantly waiting for. But also, it is a business at the end of the day, and studios will not finance certain projects. I mean, they'll take low risk with low-budget films and say, okay, this is a dark piece of material that not many people will go see. Here's a few $1 million, go make that.
We know that the ceiling it can reach is 30 million, 40 million.
But maybe it'll get an Oscar buzz, and more people will see it. Maybe we'll make some money, it'll have a little prestige. But I just feel like I have seen less and less of those sort of bigger budget films that actually have a tremendous amount of depth dissipate. That's what I've seen anyway.
Has acting turned out to be all that you wanted it to be?
It's incredible. It's incredible. You know, I never knew that I could do it as a career. I never knew. It was the first memory that I had. It's the first thing I can think of is saying, I want to be an actor to my parents. And if I hadn't lived in Los Angeles and been in such close proximity to sort of the mecca of movie making, if I didn't have parents that said, okay, we'll drive you to auditions, we didn't have the economic means to, you know, move camp from Idaho to Los Angeles because some snotty 10-year-old kid says, I want to be an actor. You know, we did it, and after school I got to go on auditions, but it was always, and I've said this before, it felt like an elite group of people, and it felt like I would never belong to them. So once I got the opportunity to, for example, get the movie This Boy's Life with Robert De Niro, I said, wow, now I'm able to I might be able to steer the course of my career. I might be able to have a career similar to these guys that I so admire. And that I knew at 15 years old was the biggest gift in the world, and that's never left me. You know, I've never that thirst or that hunger for wanting to give one great performance that I'm truly satisfied with, or be in one movie that I said, I love this film, is something that I don't know will ever be quenched. I don't know, and I think that's a good thing, because it keeps pushing you. You know, you're constantly dissatisfied. In other words.
But have you found it yet? I mean, do you think? In other words, do you have to live with the idea that it's not quite what I dream of doing? Not acting, but finding that performance, that character, that story.
It's only in
other words, you won't keep reaching for it if you think you found it.
Well, it's only in hindsight, really. I mean, you can't really appreciate anything you've ever done or any movie you've ever been in, for me, for minimum 5 years, because you're so attached to what it was like making the movie that you can't look at it from from a different perspective. So I don't know. I don't know, but I do know that I still have that desire to make great movies.
You are sitting here because
you had parents who lived in L.A., who were willing to make some sacrifice, who cared about you having a chance to pursue your dreams. But if you had grown up somewhere else with a different kind of parents, you might not be sitting here as Leo DiCaprio, one of America's and one of the world's best-known actors. Yeah.
And that in a combination with the fact that you have that one lucky moment. And that you can't discount. I mean, no matter, I don't care what anyone says, whether somebody has talent or not, whether they were destined for a certain career, if you don't get that one opportunity and you're not there at the right time to seize it and you didn't go for it, none of it would happen. I would not have the career I would have right now whatsoever, I don't think. I mean, it's all about a showcase or that ability to do that one thing that says, okay, now we'll allow you to do more movies. That's it. You know?
Now, was that Titanic or something else?
No, that was, I think that was either This Boy's Life or Gilbert Grape.
I was talking about Gilbert Grape, yeah right.
You know, if I didn't have I mean, I would have been very, very happy continuing doing television work. I would have loved it. You know, I would have been doing commercials and sitcoms. It would have been fine. Yeah. I mean, doing some theater. I was ecstatic to be an actor, period. I was finally saying, wow, I can do this for a living. I don't need to have some other vocation and do this on the side. And that, you know, growing up in this industry, I know what a very special gift that is, because there's a lot of people that would love to be working actors and unfortunately aren't. And that's the bottom line for me, what I'm most happy with. This is all the cherry, this is the whipped cream and the walnuts and the cherry on the cake. Being able to choose your roles, all this stuff is like, you know, beyond it. It really is.
Yeah, but when Gilbert Grape happened, did you see it? This is my option. This is my opportunity. I've got to be there for this because this could make all the difference in the world. Or did you simply say, man, this is a great role. I'm going to give it all I have?
Well, that was an interesting decision point. It's funny you bring that up because I don't want to do any big sob story about how I grew up and, you know, the financial background that I had. But to finally have an opportunity after This Boy's Life, that first movie that I did, there was another movie wherein I got offered more money than I could have ever imagined. And I was about to say yes to it, but there was actually something, and I'm kind of surprised in hindsight looking back as a 16, 17-year-old saying, wait a minute, there's this role here that is substantially less money, but I knew, and that all came from having watched these great movies in the past, that I knew I wanted to strive for doing something a little bit better. And I don't know where that came from. It's really weird. Because I should have taken that other role. You know what I mean? But I had these heroes. You know, I really had these heroes that I knew did certain types of movies.
Who were those heroes?
Oh, God, I mean, I remember watching, of course, James Dean as a young child as a young kid, as a 12, 13-year-old. Mitchum, of course. De Niro, of course, Hoffman, I mean, all these guys, I mean, endlessly watching their films. I mean, Monty Clift, of course, Brando, all these guys.
They all have something. There is a line there, though, that goes through all of them. I mean, it's part sort of clear talent, but it's also sort of, there was a kind of outlaw about all of them. Mm-hmm. There's a kind of sort of rebellion about all of them. Mm-hmm. Mitchum, say, clearly Dean, clearly Brando. Mm-hmm. Talent, rebellion, outlaw. I mean, there is a certain, the people who appeal to you the most have a certain
outsider quality.
Yeah. Do you think of that?
I'm a bit of a rogue myself.
I see what you mean.
You know who the first one was, I would think Cagney. Yeah. I think really Cagney. I remember watching Public Enemy with Scorsese, actually. He was screening it for one of the films that we did, and I said, wow, I mean, even predating Brando, this was a guy that came on screen and just, you know, threw all the rules out the window. I mean, Public Enemy was unbelievable. I mean, he just lit up the screen, and he was violent, terrifying, he was scary, and he was, I think, the first in that lineage of that sort of actor studio, even predating Brando, I think.
You mentioned Marty and showing films, and the idea, one of the things that I hope to do here, and he and I have talked about this, is to make more people beneficiary of this man's passion for movies and what he can show you and believes in. So I
have that same passion because I have never, ever no film historian, no one that works at any museum, no cinema, genius that I ever have met that compares passion-wise and knowledge-wise to Martin Scorsese. I mean, the man is, I don't want to use the word obsessed, but he's consumed and lives and breathes cinema every day of his life, and everything is in his life is a reference to film. I mean, he looks at life and through different eyes. I mean, he's emotionally connected to movies. Now, it all comes from his childhood, of course, but...
When because of asthma or something, he had to sit in the theater and watch movies was his way of...
I mean, it is infused in his DNA, unlike anyone I have ever met. So I agree with you on that. I think they're, and he has. I mean, he's done some pretty fantastic documentaries, his journey through Italian cinema, his journey through cinema, and he's done that. So it's about people, I think, reaching out and, trying to tap into that knowledge because it's pretty extensive. He's offered it.
Director David Fincher and actor Brad Pitt are here. Their earlier work is signature in the dark and gritty films Seven and Fight Club.
Tell me she's all right!
She made her a suspect, David.
No!
Just throw it all away,
No!
And the 8th and final rule. If this is your first night at Fight Club, you have to fight.
And now for something completely different, here's the trailer for The Curious Case of Benjamin Button.
Promise me he has a place. You never know what's coming for you.
Go back for a moment, take your mind off that.
What in God's name?
Infirmity's not of a newborn, but of a man well in his 80s on his way to the grave.
He's dying?
Of old age.
Oh, God in heaven. He looks just like my ex-husband.
My name is Benjamin Button.
How old are you?
7, but I look a lot older.
God bless you. He's 7.
Benjamin, this is my granddaughter, Daisy.
Are you sick?
They said I was gonna die soon, but maybe not.
You're odd.
You got your sea legs about you, old man?
I think.
He gives me the willies. That is not for me. Benjamin, come on.
Okay.
Benjamin! Where are you going?
Oh, to see. I'll send you a postcard.
Write me a postcard from everywhere.
You haven't been with many women, have you?
Well, I'm not dressed.
Oh, you look splendid. Just as you are.
Anybody doesn't want to go to war, now's the time to say so. Fellas!
Good night, Benjamin.
I am pleased to have Brad Pitt and David Fincher here to talk about not only this film, but this rather remarkable relationship. Tell me what it's about. I mean, who is Benjamin Button?
He is a man who's a child who's born old and ages backwards. And so he's experiencing life as we do it, but his body is running backwards.
So he's looking at life in a very different way. I mean,
Yeah.
It's defined by the people that die around him and defined by what he's learning.
Yeah, through his, sphere of experience, and then they disappear, and most of them are buried. Most of the people are buried in this movie, but the notion was, here's a guy who's going to experience life through that last final chapter where we start to lose friends, and
As he's getting younger, all these people are dying.
Yeah, and not the loneliness of that, but the galvanizing effect of that.
And what's the love story?
Well, the love story works as all the people come in and out of his life and he in theirs, respectively. We always described it as the people who, if you think of all the people in your life who have made dents, who have left an impression along the way, and inevitably, the thing about love is what follows that is loss. That's the trade-off, and the greater the love, the greater the loss, and it's the big inevitable that we all have to deal with in some way, right up to death, and so she is that person who has the biggest impression of him through many stages of his life, and and he for her. But what I find most, what I appreciate most about it is that there's a real acceptance of this things must end, and a real mature and beautiful take on that.
Is this the kind of movie you like to make?
I certainly do. I mean, I like the scale and scope of it. I like that it's, certainly, it seems in these last few years there's been so much focus on our differences. There's been so much, it's been a divisive time. And when the truth of it is, we're probably all 95% the same in the sense that, we want opportunity and freedom and love for our family, and we don't want to die. And this film focuses on these universal themes that are true for all of us and across the world. And I appreciate that.
Is there something about you and Kate that you work well together?
Well, I just have great respect for Kate. I mean, any of the guys will tell you she's been elevating our performances for some time. So we know.
Is that right?
She's gonna,
if you play with her, you'll be better.
She's going to up our stock.
What does she have?
Know this too.
Yeah. What does she have?
She's just got I say just. She's got an incredible grace and elegance to her, and a very bright mind, and her interpretation of scenes are I find quite sharp. And she's got also the manners of a trucker, so she's good fun.
So you can deal with it.
Yeah.
So you don't have to be sensitive and frail.
Oh, no. She can get in the gutter.
You can go right in with her. I have read somewhere that someone said that the better the actors, the better your performance. That may be true for everybody, but you think it's true for you. I mean, they bring your game to a higher level.
Yeah, sure, because you give a bad tennis analogy, but
exactly.
You're hitting back and forth, so.
Right. If they hit the ball back to you well, then your chances of bringing out your best stroke is better.
Yeah.
What's the relationship between the two characters in this film? Daisy, who goes to New York, becomes a ballerina dancer, who then comes back after she's in a terrible accident. I don't want to tell too much, do I?
No, I don't think so.
I know. I should stop about right there, shouldn't I? But she comes back.
Right.
Give me the sense of how you saw this relationship, which is the love part and the death part.
I saw it just again that that at this point they'd both gone on with their lives, and that was okay. Whatever shape the thing was going to take was okay.
They were open to whatever.
That's the way I saw it, and the fact that they get this reprieve or this at a different age this shot together was nothing but a gift. But there's always that thing that's hanging that it's got.
It's going to end.
Yeah, but not to sour anything or make melancholy. It just it's back to what we were talking about before, man. Keep those moments. Take those moments.
Is one or the other wiser about this?
It's usually the woman, isn't it?
Always.
Always.
At least that's what they tell me.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what you have here. You have location. You have New Orleans.
Yeah.
A place that you know and love and care about.
Yeah, very much.
And was that your idea, or did that come from Eric, or from you, or who?
No, it was originally set in Baltimore.
Exactly.
And then
the Fitzgerald. Short story.
Before Katrina, this came up because they were offering big tax incentives.
Right.
And suddenly, when that conversation came up, it completely changed the film. It was like another character to the thing. It completely colored it. New Orleans has this palpable sense of magic and mystery and death, and it placing it there immediately.
There's this patina, the filigree and
feeling,
the
it's everything. It's color, music, it's everything.
And there's so much music,
and the architecture too.
Yeah, and the architecture is very specific. But to speak, specifically to, I had been protecting the short story, and we have to do what Fitzgerald wanted, and it was a production account that we worked with, who proffered this idea of Louisiana, and we sent a location scout down, mostly out of just, okay, well, there won't be anything there, You do that a lot as director. And all of a sudden, these pictures started coming back, and I was showing them to Eric Roth, and he was like, wow, this is beautiful. This is amazing. And we sort
now,
of...
you weren't were you promoting this idea at the time or not? I don't
Oh, no,
know.
this is 2000.
No, this was before you were...
This is before the levee break. But I was certainly... It certainly
before
made
your
sense to
involvement
me.
in New Orleans,
I mean, I'd already spent time there and loved the place. I had a great love for it.
Go ahead.
I was a proponent of the move, certainly.
Yeah. All right. How are things going down there? We'll come back to the movie in a second.
Truthfully, it's dismal. To be frank, it's stupid. It's really stupid.
And who's responsible for it being stupid? Yeah.
I think there's a listen that people think that Katrina was about a hurricane, and that's what you get for living on the coast. But that was a levee failure. That was a man-made problem, and thousands of people died, and just continuing to die, and they really don't have a clear road home. They're given they're incentivized to come home by giving a big chunk of money, but not enough to build what they had before, and certainly not enough to build safely, which is a key issue because those levees are still a problem. So there was just no clear direction. No one said we want to move New Orleans, and no one said, okay, we're going to bring you back right. No one made a plan either way.
Who should have?
Well, I believe there's a government responsibility here at all levels.
Federal, state, and local.
Yeah, absolutely. But listen, I also have to say there's some incredible movements going on, and there's a lot of great work going on there, and there's a great spirit and a great fight. But I just think it's still just absolutely ridiculous that we couldn't get that thing together.
You told me last time you were here that you were thinking about 6 to 9 kids. What's the new number?
Well, we're at 6 now, and we got like the McDonald's scoreboard outside the house. And
yes.
We're keeping track that way.
6 and counting.
Yeah. I try to talk about it, and I always fall short. But it's just the greatest endeavor I've taken on. It's the most rewarding and the most painful and the biggest love I've ever had, and we are very fortunate to have the means to also widen our home, to give someone else, to give some great kids a great home, and we don't see any need why can't find a reason why we should stop now. So it'll probably grow.
I mean, a dozen maybe.
I don't know. Probably not. Probably not. Because at some point we will want to sleep again.
Yes.
But
you like being a father.
I love being a father. I do.
And what is it you like most about it?
This is
why
I
sound
always
like Oprah or no?
This is what I always
don't
fail.
ask him about his tattoos.
Yes, right.
I always fail.
I don't know about tattoos. So.
Thank you. I always fail, but it is. I love them so much. It's my one. The only thing now that can hurt me is that if something happens to them, it's that
something will happen to them. They'll become teenagers.
It's the most authentic thing in your life, isn't it?
But it is, and it's the greatest. They teach me so much, and I enjoy teaching them, and I just find it very, very rewarding.
Now, did anything come out of this film that made you think about your life? And I mean, I'm talking about now, time with kids, and just the whole idea of what living is about.
Very
because
much.
you have an opportunity to do pretty much what you want.
I had begun filming, and it was around the time when Angie's mother died, Marceline, and it was just a bit unexpected. And given going through that moment or that period with Angie and her brother, and then dealing with the subject matter we're dealing with, which is that that there is an end to all this, and it scares the hell out of me. But we do not fight. I mean, we'll have our flare-ups, but what occurred to me was that, man, I care for this person very much. I respect this person. I'm not gonna. There will be a day when I will not get to see this person anymore. Whether it's some kind of split or whether it's death, and I do not want to waste time being angry at this person, because that's not my biggest. That's not really how I feel. And since then, it just evaporates, and Am I making?
No, you are very much. I mean, I think very much. And it's even powerful. What's interesting about it is that some people come to this, but they only come to it after something terrible happens to them. I mean, you have gotten to this point in some very interesting evolution. Maybe the death of her mother, or maybe making a movie that has to do with, or other movie has to do with life and death and children. And
it's all that. It's all that, and I just don't want to. I don't want to miss a moment. So.
Can you make an argument one way or the other that because now all of this love that's sort of part of you now, understanding that you better make the most of it because you never know, and you've got the kids which have added so much, does it affect your creativity and your art?
Yeah, I think so. You know, it's less important and it's more important simultaneously. It's less important as far as any kind of worry or worry about how you come out of it. It's more important because it's going to mean something to them at some point, hopefully. And I can't help but think they'll see this and they'll see their father at this particular time. And how nice a gift that is to be able to give my kids in some way. So I want to make sure that I do give them something.
Do you want them on location with you?
Yeah, we by law, we keep everyone together. We take
law
turns.
Between you and Angie?
Yeah. The
family law is that the family does not split because one of the others can go make a movie.
Yeah, no. Family first, and we'll alternate jobs accordingly, so someone is always with the kids.
You really want to work together again?
Yeah, I have ideas for stuff that I bounce off him, and he says...
Wait. Your first call, if you see a project that you think's right for him, is to call him.
No, not necessarily. If it fits. If I fit the piece.
That's what I mean by right for you.
Yeah.
Or for the piece. Not for you, but for the piece. Yeah.
It's different. I'm looking for an author of the piece, which is the director. You know, I come in and fill in my bit, so it's different. I'll throw everything at the wall and see if he grabs something. I don't think you've always brought everything, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, you have. I don't think you've taken anything that I've sent your way.
Which is not to say that
exactly,
all of it was good.
What does that say to you?
I'm just realizing this. Exactly.
No, that's not true. That's not true.
No, of course, like to do something again. It's more important too as you get older, just to work with people that you appreciate and respect,
Absolutely.
Isn't it?
Yeah, because that's not a trap.
Sure. I don't want to waste time with that.
No, you don't.
I don't mind
say you don't want to waste. I mean, it's a little bit like you're talking about children. I mean, at some point you reach an age in which you say, I don't want to waste any time here. I mean,
no, because even I think about, well, do I have, am I past the halfway point? I'm 44 now. I probably am. Do I have a year left? Do I have 10? Do I have 20? I mean, I've started to think this way, so, I can only imagine it's going to get worse.
I guarantee it's going to get worse. Can you imagine how often I think about that? But you can only hope that, as it did for me, it just gets better and better and better.
Well,
and better
that's
in
proven,
terms of...
Yeah, that's proven true. If you're following the life you want to lead, and I think so.
And you find the world getting more interesting and more exciting. And
yeah,
more
that's the thing makes me sad. I do find it so interesting that I'm not going to be in 100 years to see the shape of the world, where we are and where we're at, and how far we progressed as a civilization. I would really like to know.
Me too.
George Clooney is here. He is, as you know, a writer, a producer, an actor, a director, an activist, and a friend of this program. You know his films, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?, Good Night and Good Luck, and the Ocean's Trilogy. Here is some of that work.
Seeing someone for the first time, like you could be passing on the street and you look at each other and for a few seconds there's this kind of a recognition, like you both know something. The next moment the person's gone and it's too late to do anything about it, and you always remember it because it was there and you let it go, and you think to yourself, what if I had stopped? What if I had said something? What if? Because the house always wins. You play long enough, you never change the stakes, the house takes you. Unless, when that perfect hand comes along, you bet big, and then you take the house.
been practicing this speech, haven't you?
A little bit. Did I rush it? Felt like I rushed it.
No, it was good. I liked it.
We are going with a story that says that the U.S. Air Force tried Milo Radulovich without one shred of evidence and found him guilty of being a security risk without his constitutional
you, who
right.
also have not seen the evidence, are claiming he's not a security risk. Wouldn't you guess that the people who have seen the contents of that envelope might have a better idea of what makes someone a danger to his country? Or do you think it should just be you that decides?
Who are the people? Don't you know who I am? I'm a fixer. I'm a bag man. I do everything from shoplifting housewives to bent congressmen, and you're gonna kill me? What do you need? Karen, lay it on me. You want a carry permit? You want a heads up on an insider trading subpoena? I sold out Arthur for 80 grand and a 3-year contract, and you're gonna kill me?
The last clip was from his Oscar-nominated performance in Michael Clayton. His latest film is Leatherheads. It is a football comedy in the great tradition of Howard Hawks and Preston Sturges. Here is a scene from Leatherheads.
What position you play in high school? Kicker. Kicker?
Hell?
Coach thought it'd be the best position for me.
Who's your coach?
Math teacher.
Huddle up.
I am pleased to have him back at this table. All right. Leatherheads. It is described as a screwball comedy.
That's right.
What is a screwball comedy?
It's a comedy where people, no, I can't really say that. Screw up. Screw up, mostly.
Yeah.
It was, this is a script that's been around for a long time, and for me it was about, I'd done so many, I was doing all these films, and everything that they were sending me was important and heavy and had issues.
This is right after Syriana.
After Syriana and Good Night, Good Luck, even Michael Clayton, all of them sort of felt very heavy-handed. And in particular, as a filmmaker, as a director, I really wanted to be able to say, listen, I don't want to be an issues guy. I want to direct, and I want to do all kinds of genres. And this one seemed fun and funny and light, and something very different than I'd been doing.
And you did the casting? Mm-hmm. Renee, you thought was...
She was the perfect choice. Renee is... she has this quality that is, first of all, she's an immaculate actress. She can do anything. But she also has this thing that you can't act, which is she can fit into a period piece and not feel contemporary. And most actors oftentimes feel contemporary when they come in there. And that's something you can only cast. You can't get them to act it.
Are you in love with period pieces?
I didn't think I was, and somebody brought it up, and I was like...
I think Karen James, writing about it, said he's decided to work his way through each decade.
I know. I didn't even think about it, and then I realized I probably am. I know I have a better... I think better of the times than they probably were. I'm sure dying of polio in 1925.
Might not have been great.
Exactly. Yeah. But I do have there's a fondness in storytelling for that kind of, it's easier to place things in the past a lot of times.
There's a story that you actually got up one night and decided that the Philadelphia story had some application to this, and that would be the sort of the connective tissue for the story you wanted to tell. And so you hit the typewriter or you hit the computer, and 41 pages later you had a new script.
Yeah, you know what it was, first of all, I think every romantic comedy, basically, that you start with a Philadelphia story. Yeah, but what you learned was that there were some tricks to it. The first thing you had to do was you had to be very careful with the John Krasinski character, the other guy. You can't make him just the guy that gets pie in his face.
This is Mr. Perfect, who turns out to have a flaw.
But you can't make those flaws lethal. You have to make him actually a good catch. There has to be sort of a good combination for everybody, and that if she ended up with him, that'd be okay.
Now, is that primarily casting or script?
Both. You can't cast or you can't act likability, and John Krasinski has...
You can't act likability. You either have it
Period. I mean, it's that simple. I mean,
is. I agree.
People, and it is a funny thing about star quality. You can look at somebody and go, "That's the best-looking person I've ever seen in my life. They're going to be a big star," and they aren't. And I don't know why. I've seen people in acting class. Some of the best actors I've ever worked with were in an acting class that never made it out of that class.
How much do you think your sense of humor is part of your appeal?
I don't know. You know
that you don't take it all too seriously, yet you appreciate fame, for example. I mean, you said to me, or I read once that you said that the last thing anybody wants to hear, and I couldn't agree with this more, some celebrity says, some celebrity says,
whining about
fame. Oh, fame is so terrible.
I know. It's a funny thing. Even when there are things that are a drag, and there are things that are a drag, you can't complain about them because I literally, I cut tobacco for a living, and I sold shoes in a department store.
In North Carolina, we call that priming tobacco.
Priming tobacco. Cutting, topping, chopping. Yeah. And, the last thing I would have wanted to do is turn on the TV and see someone who's wealthy, living in a house in Italy, talking about how miserable they're living.
Exactly.
Oh, I would have snapped.
Oh, God, I'm
kill them.
Fame is awful. I'm working so hard, and they bother me all the time, and I can't go anywhere.
It's terrible.
Okay, fine. We'll just take it all away from you. See how you like it.
Backpacking my way through the Four Seasons in France.
Yes, exactly. All right. Where is the director in this scene?
Unfortunately, he's getting punched in the face at the time.
So, what do? You sort of set the scene up.
Yeah.
And then you know where your marker is, and
well, you prepare months and months in advance. I mean, literally, you block everything out. You draw out little cartoons, basically, of every single shot and every single scene, so that so that you can plan it out. You put the camera where you want it to go, and then you got to get into the scene and try to pretend that you're not paying attention to the other actor's performance, as opposed to just as an actor, you're supposed to just get in it, and if it's you and I, we would just act it out.
Yeah.
And hopefully not me judging you or being aware of the camera getting into it.
Right. You can't play the two roles all at the same time.
No, you have to sort of let go of one at a time and then go back and look at a monitor. I don't know how, I was thinking about this, how someone like Orson Welles would have done it without playback.
Yeah, I know. You have playback. He didn't, and so he doesn't know what he just did.
It just makes him even more brilliant.
When did you first start thinking about being a director?
It was when I was back years ago, I was doing sitcoms. And a big part of doing a sitcom, which is fun, is that all the actors participate in the writing. Right. And they all sort of fix problems in the script. And they sit around a table and they get up and they sort of work it out. And you block it. And in sitcoms, you do 3 days maybe sometimes 4 days of rehearsal. And you're working with a director like you're doing theater. And from that point on, I always felt like it'd be fun to be able to come up with the ideas and have a little more control.
Did you do any episodes of ER?
No, none at all. No, the first thing I directed was Confessions.
It was. I mean, which was a good movie. Didn't do that well, but it was a great movie.
Yeah, I'm really proud of the film.
So what's the most important thing you have learned? I mean, who has helped you, or what helps you get better?
Well, I don't know that you get better. I think you get. I think the secret is.
You don't know that you get better?
I don't know that you do. I think that you get. If you look at the history of people who make films, they have cycles in their career where they make great films and the cycles where they don't.
And it's not necessarily the last film they made.
And it's not the last film they make is usually not the best film if you think of it. In fact, you'd be very hard pressed to find any director who, at the end of their career, is making films the way they are in the beginning. So
Clint Eastwood.
Clint Eastwood, sure, absolutely.
Is the exception.
But you could find an awful lot of directors that you could say that doesn't necessarily work with. So your trick is I feel like, is to keep working. To continually keep looking and be interested in things. And as long as you're interested in them and somebody gives you the money to do it, then do it. And the minute that they don't, you go away.
Yeah. Tell me 5 directors, or maybe one, that you've never met, that you would always, that you wish you could now have a conversation about directing with. I mean, would it be somebody like Billy Wilder?
Yeah,
would it be someone like Billy Wilder would be great for this, wouldn't he?
Billy Wilder for this would be great. I think the guy that I would, it's a funny one, George Stevens. Because you watch The More the Merrier before the war, the stuff he shot before the war, some of the best romantic comedies you'll ever see in your life. Then he goes off and he shoots, footage for the war, and he comes back and
in color.
In color, I saw those amazing footage. And then he comes back, and then it's A Place in the Sun.
Yeah.
You know, and Giant and films like that. I think that might be, because I'd like to talk to a director that was that good at handling. Joel and Ethan can do that.
Yeah.
That good at handling comedy.
Now, there's somebody who just made their best movie, I think, don't you?
Every film they make, I love.
But it never seems to get better.
I think absolutely.
Yeah, but they're still very young. But I mean, they'll make one.
You're signing them off right now.
Well, no, but you know, certainly they'll make a movie that's not as good as No Country for Old Men, I would think.
Well, I've just made a film with them, so let's hope.
Let's not hope it's that one. What did you make with?
I have a film coming out in September called Burn After Reading with Joel and Ethan, and it's Frances McDormand and Brad Pitt and Tilda Swinton.
Brad Pitt
and John Malkovich. It's a really funny, fun cast. And
when do you direct again?
Probably the beginning of this next year, the end of this year, the beginning of next year.
What's it going to be?
It's there's a play that's almost it's being written. It's almost finished. It's just so beautifully written about. It's sort of about an election process. It feels like The Candidate a little bit. You know, it's a good one.
You're the candidate, or are you just going to direct it?
I think I want to direct one. I'd like to stay out of it if I can. You know.
Well, quiz show you did both, didn't you?
Confessions, you mean? Yeah, I did.
What did you direct after Confessions?
Good Night, Good Luck.
Oh, that's right, Good Night. Right,
but I did a TV series.
Not quiz show.
Yes. I did a television series in between called Unscripted, and we just it was about actors and sort of what they really go through in trying to get a job. Not the stuff you see on TV, but the actual sort of process. And it was mostly improvised with these wonderful actors, and we just had digital cameras and we shot it, and it was so exciting to to do things that were completely unstructured. That informed how to shoot Good Night and Good Luck. So it's always a constant movement forward, you know.
But when you're on the set as an actor, whether it's Michael Clayton,
right?
Are you thinking about the director and thinking about watching the director, and are you saying,
"Oh yeah, oh yeah"? I'm telling you, the other night I was watching this film La Vie en Rose, and she won the Academy Award for it. Marianne won and I saw a couple of things that the guy did in the movie, and I was like, that's a really good move, you know. And you see him, and you think that's a good thing to pay attention to or to steal, I think, later. But you know, I don't spend time in my trailer on the set.
Why am I not surprised?
I don't, because I'm from Kentucky and I try to stay out of trailers. But you know, I really like sets, and you know, when you're struggling as an actor to get to a place where you can actually work on a set, you know, to get jobs, then the first thing you do is you end up
into a trailer.
Going and hanging in a trailer. It's like sets are exciting to me, and so I'd stay on sets and watch. And be around Soderbergh and the Coens and people when they're making films, and that's really fun.